exploration zones suck.
That has to change.
That's not really a hot take. It's not a cold one either. I don't think it's ever been pulled, but I feel like these zones are like really 50-50 with the community. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's the Eureka and Bozja. And if you haven't waded through the depths of insanity that is Eureka,
I'll try the new content, I told myself, and it just sucked the life out of me. Eureka's defendants will tell you it's all about cooperative play and the old Final Fantasy XI feel. Well, Final Fantasy XI still exists, and I see nothing cooperative about killing the same enemy over and over and over and over and over again in order to get that bare trickle of XP.
I'll explain it for a second. It's a way to craft relic weapons and armor, as well as earn specific rewards. Like there's a T-Rex mount that you can earn, as well as other gear that's specific to those areas. It has its own leveling system separate from your job and like the main place. And you usually go in at the level cap for that expansion. There's new zones, a whole storyline of its own. And in order to progress through these zones, you have to grind fate after fate after fate in the zone. As well, there's also a separate currency that are usually crystals that you have to grind off of non-fate enemies. In other words, do you like Atma or luminous crystals? Well, make that every step in the entire relic. Is that better than tomes? I don't know. It was okay. It got tiring really fast, but some of the fates were unique and fun.
Here I am with the Panini Notorious Monster. As you can see, we have the level 6 lambs here for the slaughter. And there we go. They're dead on the ground.
I don't know, this boss is pretty easy. You know, this is truly the Dark Souls of Final Fantasy.
This is my experience. My experience with this was 4.25 in Stormblood. Eureka Animos released. I grinded 5 different sets of weapons and gear, 5 different jobs, and I had an okay time, but was really ready to stop fate grinding. I was ripping my hair out. Then Pagos dropped. The next step.
Oh shit, here we go again.
And it was more fates. I only entered Pagos the one time because I saw fates and I said, fuck that. And I don't think I was alone. They added a raid attached later, and with the introduction of Bozja, they added even more in the form of critical engagements, which were harder fates, and each zone had a 24-man dungeon. So in Southern Front, it's CLL or Castrum something, I can't remember what it is right now. I don't want to call them raids. That's what Drillubrum Reginae is, or the I can't think of the Eureka one right now. But yeah, there's also duels, which is a really interesting ad, in my opinion. I would really love to try and get into them, but I've never been able to get into one because spawning one is luck. You have to complete a specific fate. Being the one chosen to enter the duel is luck because you're entered into a random pool. And to be even in the pool...
But if you got the chance to go in and won the chance to get a group who could clear, you had a chance.
You have to complete really difficult requirements. A lot of times is doing the fate completely with no damage. So I don't have much to say on them because I've gotten into one. With all that said, I want to talk about the next one though. The next exploration zone. Some people in the community have been clamoring for a new one.
Big one, new exploration zone. So this is probably the #1 complaint that I've had and many people I know have had about Endwalker as an expansion, is that we haven't had that big zone to all run around and do stuff in, and that has sucked because look.
And really miss the feeling of everyone coming together to do these. And I believe Yoshi P has said that one is in the works, like for Dawntrail, or like said that they're thinking about it during FanFest. But something needs to change with these, because the fate grind, oh my god, it's so excessive, and it really turns me off. Even though I really want the Ozma mount and the Cerberus mounts, which if you don't know how to get those, you have to complete the raids attached. That's the Luvum Regine or the Arsenal 24-man raids. They're pretty difficult. They're the savage versions. I think a few changes could really help the burnout and grind of these zones, because I get angry whenever I have to deal with these zones. And the one I want the most is to add another option for the grind. In Bozja, you can grind fates that spawn critical engagements, or CEs is generally how they're talked about. And they're essentially super fates. That's all they are. It's just stronger ones, and they're limited to a certain amount of people. And they can also spawn 24-man dungeons, which is what I was talking about. CLL is one of them in Southern Front. What I want is another form, in the form of what I'm going to call dungeons. When I say dungeon, I don't mean the normal 4-man queue into the dungeon system we have in 14. What I mean is something akin to delves in ESO. If you don't know what these are, and I might be misremembering this, it's been a long time since I've done ESO, but the point will still stand.
First, we have these little torches here, which represent delves. Delves are solo dungeons, or they're meant to be. You can certainly team up with some other people and tackle this as group content and have fun with it. And it's a great way to make EXP and, get some extra skill points and such. And they're pretty fun.
From what I remember, it was an overland cave or like dungeon area that you could go into. You can jump into by yourself. You don't queue. You just walk in by yourself or with a party that has bosses and like some fairly difficult enemy packs that respawn on a timer. You can complete objectives in these areas, and you can earn rewards for completing them. Oftentimes, there's quests attached to these delves. And in 14, I feel like it's pretty easy to implement. You can add a daily or weekly repeatable quest inside the exploration zone, asking you to delve in by yourself. It could be random which delve you get, and you could like figure out a puzzle or something like that. I don't know. Go in by yourself or with a group. It'll add depth and a break from the fate grind, and a reason to even go back to the lower level areas inside the zone. Because a lot of times there's different areas in each zone. A lot of times there's not a reason to not do just the high end one, like in Zadner. I also don't want them to make this mechanic an and system, is what I'm going to call it. What I mean by that is in Eureka and Bozja, there's fates and crystals. You have to do fates, and you have to grind crystals. I want this to be an or system, is what I'm going to call it. You can grind fates, or do critical engagements, or in Southern Front, do CLL, right? All of these can gain you metal. I want an or system. And I think the game design overall, not just in exploration zones, focuses too much on and systems, in my opinion. Really, give us some more, give us options each for different things. There's other things that can be added, like hunts or other weekly or daily quest systems. And focusing so much on the fate system is really where I think these areas have gone wrong. And expanding the activities we can take part in would really open the areas up and remove burnout for them. And I don't think I'm alone in this. Just give us more that we can do. Give us like a reason to explore, right? That's where the hunts could come in. Like we have to run around the area. Overall, I'm excited for Dawntrail and all that comes with it. And I hope the 14 team can keep improving the game as they have almost without fail each expansion. And if they implement a new exploration zone, I hope that that's also the trend. Bozja has improvements over Eureka, and they've learned from that, and they've learned from this, and then the next one, I hope they learn from that as well. Story-wise, I've seen there's some stuff that's kind of hinting at some kind of Final Fantasy X stuff for Dawntrail, and as a Final Fantasy X, like, really big, I grew up on it, I played it a ton. I was really sad about the bosses we got that were Final Fantasy X. Like, I wanted it to be like actual trials, like, give me Anima but a trial, right? I was really disappointed in that. But if say the 8-man raid tier is like going through Sin, and you're fighting Unalesca and Sin and maybe Braska, or some versions of these, right? Or Jet as Braska's final son, like, so that would be really cool. But you know, also where it would be really cool is if we're exploring either like inside Sin, or if we're exploring Xanarkand. That would be amazing. And you can have the different zones be like the Dream Xanarkand and the Destroyed one. If you haven't played Final Fantasy X, I'm sorry for some spoilers right there, but it's 22 years old. So, well, thanks. Hope to see you guys around. There's the video.